So the idea is to make sure that when we click on portfolio, we're going to see the list or a list containing projects. So all of this is dummy data, of course. But what we want to do here, we want to make sure that, of course, all this data is going to be fake, but at least we'll have some sort of a complete application here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So for that, we are going to create yet another composable, right? A different piece of code, user interface code here. I'm going to say @composable. So anything that needs to show something to the user, in this case, a user interface component, you have to pass @composable. Okay, so I'm going to say fun for function. I'm going to call this content. Right, there we go. And for now, what I need to do, I want to make sure that I'm able to preview this one composable. To do that, we say @ and start typing in preview as such. Very good. So we're going to focus on here. And so at this point, let's split this. And you can see we have that preview, which is this one that we just started now. It has nothing. And just to make sure that I don't have too much going on, I'm going to go ahead and comment this out, okay, so that we only have one preview, which is going to be this one here. There's nothing yet. Okay, so what is that we want to happen? So I'm going to use yet another composable that comes with compose called box. So we're going to create a box that will contain all of this information. So again, I'm going to just go ahead and say box and pass in a modifier. I'm going to fill max height, and then I'm going to say dot fill max width as such, and then let's give it a padding dot because we're still part of our modifier. Say padding. Let's give it about 5 dp as such. And then let's not forget to put our lambda. In this case, this is the scope, right? What is going to be inside of our box there. We have to have those curly braces. Okay, so inside here, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to put a surface. You remember surface. So this is the canvas per se. But the great thing about surface is that obviously, like with anything, we can pass another modifier. We can customize our UI even further. Okay, so for a surface here, I'm going to pass again a modifier. I'm going to say that padding. I'm going to give an all padding of about 3.dp. And then I'm going to say, put that in a new line, fill max width. Again, it's going to be max height. All right, so there we have it. So now inside of our surface, we can do all sort of things. This is where we can add other UI components. But what we want to happen in this surface, there's another thing we need to think about. If you look here, we want to have this nice border that is showing there, right? That's enclosing all of this content, all of this list, which we haven't looked at yet. So we need to create that. It's easy to create that. That's the reason why we have the surface, because surface allows us to do all sort of things. In fact, if you hover over, you can see a list of all of these properties, all of these parameters we can pass to further customize our surface, which is great. So here, after we've added fill max height, fill max width, we can go ahead and say shape, for instance. What shape do we want this to have? Well, we want to have some sort of a rounded corner shape like that. And for the corner, I'm going to pass a corner size and pass here a 6.dp. Remember, the higher this number we add here, the more curved this is going to be. And next, what we need to do, we need to add a border because we want this to look like this. Good. It's very easy to do so. I'm going to put comma. Remember, we're still inside of the parameters here, right? Parentheses of our surface. That's very important. And I'm going to say border. I'm going to say border stroke. And for border stroke, as you see, we pass width and the color. And you can override with other parameters as well. But we're going to check the first one first. So we're going to use the first override method. So I'm going to say width in this case. I'm going to say I want just 2.dp. So not too thick. And for color, I'm going to say is equal to color. I'm going to light gray like that. All right, let's go ahead and refresh real quick to see if we are going to be able to see something at least. And there you have it. So you can see we do have our border. It's hard to see, but once we have something inside and everything is set up, it's going to be much easier. But believe me, it's there. If you can see a little bit, let's make this a little bigger, or I'm going to remove my hover there so you can see. So just look around, you should see that border. In fact, if I change this to about 12 dp, you can see there it is. Real large border. That's not what we want. So now what we want to be inside here? Well, what we want to be inside here, it's going to be yet another composable, which is we're going to call portfolio like this. Okay, we haven't created this. So this portfolio is going to take a few parameters, which are going to be portfolios, or I'm going to say data. Okay, there's going to be a list of, and we're just going to pass here, say project 1, just like that. Okay, let's go ahead. I'm going to copy this, or I can just right click and say show And I'm go ahead and say create composable function portfolio. Go, and voila, it's created. And that's fine. All right, very good. So now we have created another portfolio composable. This may be a little bit strange at first. So what are we doing here? Well, we created this content composable, right? Which is not being called anywhere yet. In fact, so it's going to be around somewhere here, but this is where our biz card, create biz card is. This is the main composable. And so in our content composable here, we created a box. Inside of the box, we created a surface, and we bended, quote unquote, this surface, meaning we customized it to have rounded corners, and we added border and the light gray border color. Okay. And then we're passing here a portfolio, and this portfolio, in the portfolio here is another composable. So you see, you can create as many composables as you want and kind of stack them on top of each other, if that makes any sense. That's how we compose, if you will, our user interface declaratively. All right. So in this case here, our portfolio is going to expect to receive a list of, in this case, just strings. Now we have refactored it out. So we have this composable that's been called inside here. And this one here, of course, is going to expect that list, as we said here. It's going to be a list of strings. So we need to implement it. That's why we have that to do there. So for now, what I'm going to do, for now, let's just say text, say portfolio projects go here. Okay, so we're making good progress. So next we're going to work on our portfolio composable here, which is going to entail all of this.